didn't, it was like, my back hurt for weeks and weeks after that. It wasn't what I imagined it was going to be.
No, that wasn't what I was thinking.
I felt all the
Drive to
responsibility.
house
One horse fell down. This poor woman went over.
Oh my gosh.
Another one laid down, like was pawing and just laid down. And then just knowing that there was one guy, he was like the old trail boss at the end that I trusted. He was maybe in his 50s, but he was so far away. I was like, I'm the only person out here. Like I felt like so scared and like so much responsibility for like, everything that was happening around me. And my poor husband was behind me on this first. My mare was in season, so she was like kicking out. She made contact like 3 times with his horse's mouth or chin. Because
they were so close.
Yes, and I was like, please, he didn't know what to do. Right? And she's, both legs coming up and bugging out there. I'm like, this is a nightmare.
That wasn't like no fun.
No, it wasn't. They said, because they thought I would love that, and I thought I would love that part too. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous, but it was like 3 hours, and we did a second one the next day, and it was on the side of a cliff. And I just
oh no, thank you.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Put yourself read reviews.
Yeah. So the funny part is everybody else loved it, and I think it was like ignorance is bliss. Like
it totally is.
They were just like
totally
they were just literally just passengers.
Yeah.
They would sit back like they were in a chair.
It's like they think they're just like little cars that they'll just go along.
And I was just like, we are like this close to dying.
In case you wanted to know.
Yeah.
They had no idea, and they all loved it. So
it's so funny. Yeah, my husband and I went out. We traveled for the last year before we came here, knowing we were going to settle here. So we wanted to explore a little bit. And I've traveled a bunch. He hasn't traveled as much. So we were out, and you got to see the Grand Canyon, right? Because I've seen it, and I was like, let's go see it. And like he knows I won't do like trail rides or anything like that. And he jokingly, he's like, let's rent the donkeys that go down into the canyon. And I was like, absolutely not, of course, right? But I was like, I don't trust the equine on like flat ground, right? Let alone and like you said that. Exactly. I was like, oh, I get it. But people don't realize like how dangerous that really is. I'm amazed that they get liability insurance. Like, who is insuring them?
Like the horse that tripped, luckily she was on flat ground. Right. She'd been on the side. I mean, they
for
just
real,
gone.
Was she a horse person at all?
No. I mean, when she was younger, she sat next to me at dinner, and she had ridden when she was younger, but she was probably, they were retired, probably 70. I mean, she was an older woman, and went over the top of the, she didn't fall on her, she flew off. That was the one that tripped. The younger girl is the one that laid down and rolled. She luckily jumped off.
Oh my God.
Like they
for
had
real,
no idea.
right.
I didn't enjoy that, and I was surprised that I didn't. I was sad. But
that wasn't exactly what I was thinking.
No.
Yeah, right. What else you were imagining?
I don't know. I'm like ruined it. Maybe your experience would be better. Yeah. I just wasn't thinking that. Because I mean, when you really do think of just putting all these beginners out with horses that really don't like to do anything but fall.
Right. That's all they know. That's all they know. Yeah.
And so I had the experience before. I think when I've gotten on horses like that, they get real sexy. Like because it's almost like they can feel. Like and I wasn't even in her mouth.
Yeah, but that you know a little more.
Yes, and they were just like, she was so mad as soon as I got on her.
That's so funny.
Tossing her head. I was like, this is hilarious. Yeah.
Hello. All right. I think you were person in our last person sign.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And what was your name?
Maya.
Maya. Nice to meet you, Maya.
It's so good to meet you.
So I'll just do a quick intro, and then we'll kind of get started since we've already been chit-chatting or whatever. So I'm Emily Abbate. I run American School of Riding, and our focus is bringing education, world-class education, to all riders. Right? I've done all of the big international stuff. I've competed internationally for 20 plus years. I did Young Riders, U25, and then went into the small and large tour as well. I've trained a bunch of my own Grand Prix horses, a bunch of national horses, and some St. George horses as well. And as I was telling Leah, that our goal in the next 12 months is to really give opportunities to the Greenville area to lease dressage horses. That's kind of going to be one of our big things, as well as sales and all the rest of the things we do. But just provide opportunities for riders to come and actually ride finished horses. That's going to be one of the big goals. So we're excited about that. So part of it is I want to provide more free education. I'm hoping to do this once a month if it kind of catches on. I'm also hoping to, in the area, provide free Saturday lessons for anybody that books the week before. So that's a really, yeah.
Out at where you're leasing.
We can either do a haul in or I can come to stable if that makes
But
sense.
if we don't have a horse, like, do you?
Yes, right. We'll have some mounts.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're up to. That's my vision and my goal. Like I said, I competed for many years. I did it because it was important for my career, but I actually am not a competitive person. So I'm very happy to just be training and coaching at this point, and do a lot of sales. We do a lot of sales. All of our sale horses, even all our Grand Prix horses, are under 30K, because we believe that they should be accessible for everybody. Because there's lots and lots of beautiful horses that come from Europe that are 80, 90, 100,000, but most people can't afford that. They can't afford another mortgage payment. So, so that's kind of what I'm about. I'm obviously all about education, right? Free education as much as possible. So, all of this is going to be super chill, right? Super relaxed, question and answer. If I say something you don't understand, or if you have questions, or you want to go off topic, amazing. Let's do it, right? So I'm happy to kind of go along these basic ideas here, and we can start here if you guys are interested in these topics. But if you have your own questions and you're like, hey, I'd rather talk about this, yeah, let's do it. Okay. So are you cool to kind of like get started here and then we'll go from there? All right, cool. So I know a lot of you have like diverse backgrounds. What is your background, if you don't mind me asking?
I've never done dressage before,
Okay.
ever. This is completely new to me.
Okay, cool.
I ride hunt seat
Okay.
at Clearview. I'm on their
Oh, yeah.
2018.
Clearview's awesome.
Yeah, so I've been riding my whole life, and then I stopped when I was 13 because the horse I was leasing, I've always been in Ohio.
Okay.
The horse I was leasing, my trainer sold without me knowing, and so that was like my part horse, and I was really sad, and then I had to move back down here, and
Okay.
it's way more expensive to ride on.
Is it? Oh,
It's-
interesting.
It's
Okay.
crazy. It's like
Okay.
$70 for 35 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, like my family, like my mom's a
Sure.
teacher, like
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
it's expensive. So I just like I'm more chill now. It's very competitive, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just
Okay.
kind of where I'm starting.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, if I say anything or talk about a subject that we just like literally know nothing about, just stop me and be like, hey, I have no idea what you're doing. So we'll go from there. So connection. So connection is super, super important for all disciplines, right? And you were talking earlier about trying to kind of bring that balance up a little bit, and people misunderstand when we talk about dressage horses. They think of that neck coming down, and then they get really focused in the neck coming down, and then that mouth and that chin kind of get closer and closer to the chest, and all of a sudden we've lost all of the actual connection that should be happening. So a young horse, so we're going to focus a lot more on young horses because most people either have young horses or green horses, right? Most of us don't have Grand Prix horses. So with a young horse or a green horse, I have a mare that I'm working with right now. She's our spotlight horse. She's not young, but she is green, so I thought she was a perfect option for people to kind of follow along with. And with the connection, these young horses, they should kind of come up and out of the shoulder, and they should look a little like hunters for a long time. Right, if you see like a 3 or 4 year old that's going like an 8-year-old, right, nice big arch neck, and they're kind of powering along, they're really being held together by a very, very skilled rider, right? They don't have the ability to actually do that yet. So what we're wanting to see is we're wanting to actually see them come over the top line. Does everybody understand what I mean when I say top line? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's see if I can actually, so I am a terrible drawer and a terrible speller, but you guys can come here with me. Miss Glenn, do you have any like cleaning spray just because so I can wipe this off? Thank you. Okay. So when we talk about the young horse top line, it should really truly look like a bridge. So here's our little ears, and here's our tail. So we want to actually see the point of where the rider sits, which is basically right here, kind of in the middle of the bridge, right? If we start to see them curl underneath, and we start to drop below that sort of vertical, right? We hear people talk about being behind the vertical. Thank you. Being behind the vertical all the time. It is bad. We don't prefer that. There's a certain point where young horses kind of have to try to find their balance, right? Which we'll talk about that in a minute. Which they will have moments where they come behind, right? So if you see a trainer and they're riding a young horse and they have moments where they dip behind, it's fine. It's no big deal. It's normal. But if they're constantly there, what ends up starting to happen is normally we want the rider to sit here. But what happens is the shoulder actually dips down, and and now they're sitting up here. They're sitting forward of the balance. Does that make sense? So the issue is with that problem. The reason that's a problem for young horses is now they've gone from, so when they're born, when they come out of the moms, they're born like 70-30. Right?
Go past
Yeah.
Maya. You're good.
Go ahead. So they're born like 70% on the forehand and 30% on the hind legs, right? We always laugh that they don't know they have hind legs because they don't, right? They're very, very front end focused. So if you put a young horse too short, too long, they never really learn about hind legs.
That's nice.
And they start to carry the rider forward into the shoulder. And when that happens, they start to develop these weird, it's a little bit like bodybuilders that have those big traps, right? It's the same muscles. Because what they're doing is they're actually pushing the rider up and then down, right? So they're carrying themselves this way. That's why you'll see a lot of times dressage horses or even flat horses that are worked in the wrong way. They've got pretty decent neck and shoulders, but they have no top line and they have no hind leg, right? They have no like big hamstrings, they have no big fat butts like we like. Because they're not pushing or carrying, they're actually pulling the shoulders up and pulling up. Does that make sense? Cool. So what that would feel like, to kind of make it practical for you guys, what that would feel like with like your quarter horse, for instance, when she carries her balance more neutral, which is what we want to go from down to neutral to back over a period of weeks, months, years, depending on the horse. What that would feel like is she's actually going to shift this way, not with the shoulders first, but she's actually going to sit first, right? So a lot of times we have trainers or riders that don't know as much, and they want to kind of pull the face up because they think, well, I gotta get the shoulders up, right? All we want is we want them to just kind of start pushing the nose out and slow down. So if you see all my young horses go, my young horses go kind of a little like pleasure horses at first, not quite to that extreme, but they're not going along, they're not charging along. American training is very, very aggressive in that everything has to be forward. Everything has to be forward, right? But what happens, especially with a horse like yours, or one that isn't like the super, talented superstar, they start running because they're like, okay, well, you're telling me to go forward, and my hind legs aren't strong enough to catch up yet. So what we do is we slow the shoulders down, so that then the hind legs can catch up. Especially if you have a good hind leg, it'll catch up, and then what naturally biomechanically happens is they actually start to come up. They start to sit. Does that make sense? Everybody clear with that? Questions on any of that? Okay.
How long does that normally take? I don't know that
Yeah,
I've
good
ever.
question.
It's been a long time since she was green, but I remember the heavy feeling, like
Yeah.
just like
Right.
digging into
Yeah.
the ground in
Yeah.
the canter, and almost like she was just gonna like go down. But then I think we probably got to neutral. But I don't think I've been on just a few times people that have had higher level horses just to be able to feel it.
Sure.
One time I did a PF, and I cried a lot. But it was just, it was like 5 seconds of PF.
It's pretty amazing,
But,
yeah.
but that feeling of coming underneath
Yeah.
from the back, I don't think I ever felt that on her.
Okay.
Is that something that, like, how long does that
How long does that take? Yeah, no, good question. So it's a combination of, so all of training is biomechanics, right? We have to understand how the biomechanics work on the horse, and then we put them in situations through training, positions, body positions, and task work to help them understand their own biomechanics, and also put them anatomically, because horses, I'll get to it, I promise. I go on rants, but I'll come back around. So horses are really unique in that, like, if I work with a human athlete, right? So I'm a CrossFit athlete, I go to CrossFit every day, and I coach a little bit there as well. When I work with human athletes, they can ask me questions, right? I can give them a cue, and they can ask me a question. Horses can't really do that. All they can say is yes, ma'am, or I don't know how. And those are the options. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put them in positions so that the thing that we want them to do feels better than the thing that we don't want them to do. So they always are trying to say, yes, ma'am, I will try that. So to answer your question, a young horse from first 3 to 5 rides, taking aside that we're just happy that they're not trying to kill us, right? That we're just kind of going along, they immediately in my program start to learn lateral connection, right? So we pick up the inside rein, and they should have learned in the groundwork that inside leg has to step on. that's the first time that pelvis tilts, and now they're sitting, right? They're only sitting for a second or two, but they are actually sitting. So from that first week of rides to where you start to get that neutral feeling, if they're in full training, barring any injuries or anything like that, 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just I did it myself, and I had
Sure,
two
it
small
takes
kids.
time.
I rode twice
Yeah,
a week.
yeah.
I think for like a 10 years we worked twice a week, and then as she got older, and,
Right.
and I just didn't have enough time to do it. But we never got there in 10 years.
Yeah, well, and that's, you know, that's okay,
I don't know,
because
but-
it takes time.
Yeah.
And again, all of the answers that I'm giving you guys are based on my 25 plus
Yes.
experience, right?
Yeah.
So,
She was the only horse I'd ever.
right, right. So I know, like, when I look at a young horse, I know what all the steps are. So I'm not looking into a dark tunnel, right? I know where we're
Yeah.
going, and I've had enough experience and enough horses to work with.
Yeah.
That for the most part, they don't usually throw anything at me that I don't expect,
Okay.
right? So that leads me to the 3 to 6 month answer is the beginning of the cycle.
Okay.
So training cycle looks like this, whether we're training humans or we're training animals or we're training dogs. So you ask for the new task. Ask for the new task. It goes to experimentation. And then it goes to proficiency. And then it goes to intensity. And then it starts over. So the new task, like say I have a young horse that knows how to yield from the inside rein, but I now want them to learn fullness, right? Straight sideways. Because that's the next step. Open the outside rein, open a little bit the outside leg, inside leg goes back. They start to say, okay, I can do that. And I kind of throw them a little off balance, so they make one shoulder step. Big deal. Good job, such a great horse. That's the new task. Once they learn that when I open the outside rein, they need to step into it. Now they go to experimentation. Now they say, is it every time you open the outside rein? Right? And they question, is it every time, or is it only when we're stopped? Or is it only when the inside leg comes on? Because I can open the outside rein, but if I don't put this inside leg on, they shouldn't do anything, right? So that's experimentation. Horses are incredibly intuitive and inquisitive. Right? They want to know what the right answer is. My favorite thing is when you take a baby horse that's just like, right, like I don't know, to when they start to participate in the work, is they start to have a Rolodex in their minds. And you can see when you ask a new question, they flip through the Rolodex, right? Is it this, is it this, is it this? And as soon as they get to the end of the Rolodex and they don't have the answer, they come back. Ears flip back, and they say, I don't have it. Like, how do I get this way? Super cool. I get this beside my It's really cool. So, experimentation. Once they start to experiment and they get the right answer over and over again, and we start to tell them that they're the best horse in the whole world, right? Which they love. They need that. They need a lot of praise for good effort. Then they start to be proficient. That skill is there. I can ask for it 90% of the time and it's there. Then it goes to intensity. Now I say, okay, I can trap your inside hind leg. You can move into the outside hind leg, into the outside reins. And now, can we do it at the trot? Or can we do it from a halt? Or can, whatever the more difficult option is, that's the intensity. And then it starts over. Now we have a improved skill. So now I go to the next one. Task increases, process starts over. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So 3 to 6 months to get them basically, right, where they start to think about their hind legs, they start to understand, will I sit when the rider asks me to sit? And sitting for a horse at any different stage is different, right? So for a 4th level horse, it might be, can I trot in and rein back without a halt? Right? That should be very possible for all levels. That is this next task, experimentation process. Once that starts to happen, so I'm a huge rein back person. All of my horses learn to rein back. My babies learn to rein back before they learn to go forward. Because they don't know about their hind legs. They really don't. Right? The only thing they know about their hind legs is playing in the field and kicking at other horses. That's it. So they don't know really how to use them, because if they were left to their own devices, out in the wild or out in the pasture, they would just pull themselves along all day, because that works from an evolutionary perspective. It works just fine, right? They function, they move around, they eat, they get grass. That's all they need. But we're asking them to do something very not natural, essentially, right? They're carrying a predator on their back. They become relaxed about it, which is the first huge hurdle. And now we're asking them to use body parts that they're not normally going to use. Questions on that so far?
I guess are there some, I kind of just always thought she wasn't able to be super
Capable,
uphill.
sure.
She just wasn't
Sure.
capable. Maybe her breed or her combination or whatever. Are there some that just can't ever get to that?
So,
really uphill?
for me, in my mind, I have met very few horses that can't get to Christian George.
Okay.
Very few. Yeah, because Christian George work, yes, they're sitting, yes, they're collecting, yes, they're bringing the shoulder up. But biomechanically speaking, it should be very possible for most horses. They may not be competitive,
Yeah.
right? They may not be,
They should be able to
but they should be able to
do it.
learn the work. Yeah, for sure, and be comfortable. So my thought would be most likely is that with your journey with her, you just didn't quite have the
Yeah.
right help.
I had to search out
Exactly.
every little step.
Exactly.
I was doing it on myself. Because I would like
Right.
drive somewhere, have a few lessons, try to recreate
Yeah,
it.
and now we're
read
figuring-
something, try to recreate it.
Right.
It was just like,
So that's very much. So the type of training that I do is based in classical.
Yeah.
Even though I train competitive horses, non-competitive horses. Newborn.
It's really good to try to get, like you say, using their time and knowing that they have lessons.
Yep.
And it helps,
Yeah.
no matter what.
That's exactly
What you're
right.
gonna do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why really a horse that is been trained properly as a dressage horse, whether they get to second level or they get to Grand Prix, they should be healthier in their life. It should break them down. So there's essentially 7 focuses and it's on this obviously page as well. So lateral softness, longitudinal softness, has halt and halt. Anyways, we'll get to that. So
that's the order you train in.
that's generally the order that we train. So, in all of these horses, training's never linear, right? I wish it was. But this is the most simple process that I've been able to break down over the years, both for my riders to understand that are still learning, and also my horses. I'm really a very lazy trainer, right? If I have 16 in a ride, I can't do it for you. You gotta carry me around, right? Because you have to work 45 minutes. I have to work for 10 hours today, right? So yeah, longitudinal or lateral softness, which we talked about, right? My babies learn to turn off the inside hind leg with the inside leg first. Number 1. I do that for a couple reasons. Because of training process and organic process, but also safety, right? If my own horse gets a little scooty and they get a little scared, and they very fully understand that when that inside rein comes on, they've got to turn that hip, I'm most likely not going to run. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Longitudinal softness. That's front to back, tail to pulse. It is not putting the neck down. It is the lower back relaxing, and again that hind leg coming under, and then going, oh, this feels better. I'll go like this. Right? And then over time, what starts to happen is the neck will start here, and it'll kind of come up, the nose will push out and find the bit, right? They start to stretch a little bit, they find the bit, and then all we do is we shorten the neck process from ear to ear, so this is mid-neck to shoulder, and then we shorten the low back to the tail. So that's all we're doing, right? We're just having them go like this, and then like that. That's it. We're not doing anything with the rest of the neck. If you start to see a horse as they go up the levels, which you see this a lot in modern dressage, I'll be nice. A lot of times what happens in modern dressage that is incorrect. There's a lot of correct modern dressage, but there's a lot that is incorrect. what starts to happen is the neck will look really good for like the first like couple years, and then all of a sudden you see that horse again, and it is so crunched in, and that pole, that throat latch is so narrow that now we're getting full flexion. We don't ever want full flexion. We want that neck to come like this, right? We want it to come up out of the shoulder and come down. As soon as we get narrowing in the pole, we've lost the hind legs. You cannot control the hind legs or get good hind leg connection if that pole is broken.
I wonder about this, like, because of what we went through with her, and I have heard she's crushed pros of the crushed with weight, but
Sure.
I wondered, and I was very aware of broke her and not to do it.
Yes.
And I just by look, I don't know if I did that to her over the years, not knowing that do you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
she was
Sure.
doing something.
And anatomy plays a huge part of it, right? These guys that are these baroque horses or these jockey guys that are more thick in the throat latch, we have to be particularly careful about, because so if you've got a thoroughbred with a really snaky neck, right, you're gonna have to get a hold of it at some point because they're gonna get out all over the place because they don't want to use those hind legs. But a baroque horse, Spanish horse, drag horse, literally all you have to do is we have to ride them straight into the hand, because eventually the neck just goes whoop, and then they're there, right? So a lot of it has to do with their own personal anatomy, right? Like I'm a much better endurance athlete than heavy lifter. I'm too tall. My femurs are too long. I can't, right? The bar's weight, I can't. So it's the same for them. You have to kind of look at them as individuals and decide what makes them more sense. So you also have to look at them as individuals as far as what they present you with when you first get on them. Like my green horse Kai. So she is way happier to be longitudinally soft than laterally soft. Naturally, right? She's really good in the hind leg, and she wants to go long. She's like, let's just go somewhere long. Like, I don't want to do this whole lateral thing. Others will present their first, 30 days. They'll be nice and soft, but they won't want to go forward because they don't want to push. So you just have to kind of work with them in whatever ways they're capable of. So the next is half halt. However, this comes first. Rein back comes first. Okay? They cannot. If we try to teach them the half halt before they back up, what are we doing? Right? What are we doing? We're making it too hard for them. They'll probably learn it because they're pretty darn smart, but they will learn to do it because the pressure on the bit and not the balance of the leg. Right? Which is ultimately what we want. So in the rein back, it should over time. So now with Kai, when I first started with her, when she first came to the stable, there was a lot of like a little halter pressure, a little pressure on the chest, like come on, back up, and now she's gotten a lot softer. So she knows that if I stop, she should stop, put that there, and if I turn, she should back up, right? That's exactly what we want. We want that very basic stuff. All my grooms know this. Do not let them walk in front of you. Do not let them not back up if you take a step back. Because it's their job. You're the boss, right? You're the leader. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with leading, but part of their job of the relationship is to be aware of where you are and what you're doing. Because they can do that with the horses. They're plenty capable of keeping track of 10, let alone 1. So they learn rein back first, and when we're working with them as babies, sometimes we might need a little bit of contact to help them, but ultimately what it should be if you have someone on the ground that can help you is doing that transition, right? So I'm going to put a little pressure on the chest while you sit light, slide that leg back, and really what you're teaching her is you were teaching her or him that when that seat does something, you have to go through that Rolodex and figure out, am I going forward or am I going back? Right? So your pelvis, if it's sitting straight down, that means stop. If you're sitting forward, right, and your pelvis shifts forward, the bottom of the pelvis shifts forward, that means go forward, right? We're going that way. If I say we're going this way, it could be just that much. Go back. It's pretty simple. That's a simple thing they can understand that never changes their whole career. And what happens there is when we start to sit a little light and we slide that leg back, we don't actually shift in the rein back. Now all of a sudden we appeal, right? Because they say, well, I can't go forward anymore because they're saying don't go forward. But they're not saying go back either. And they didn't say stop. Right? So, exactly. Right. It's very simple. As long as we keep it simple, they're very capable.
I feel like you saying that like for 40 years I've wanted something to like
explain it that way, right?
it's like a mystery, this magic. Yeah,
Right. understand or have questions about what the contact actually does or what it should be doing. What are our thoughts on that? I'm interested to see what your experiences have been or what your own feelings are on it. On what the contact, what the physical contact of the hand on the rein to the bit to the mouth actually is for or does or should be. Do we have like a concept of that or like thoughts on that? Anybody?
I always think communication is the first thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Just having that straight line, and I don't know if there's a right answer.
No, that's okay.
Think
There's really no like right or wrong answer. I'm just curious to know kind of what our experience has been up to this point.
Yeah.
So who wants to volunteer? Physical. Okay. All right. So contact from baby to Grand Prix is you are holding someone's hand, right? So this would be like baby, right? So, oh, here you are. Nope, here you are. Right? They're like this. I don't know. But if you strengthen your arm a little bit, and strengthen mine, now we have a second arm. Now we have an arm. Right? You're leaning against me. I'm leaning against you, and now we can go somewhere. If I drop you, that's not so good. Does that make sense? So that's what contact is. Contact is not there to pull back. It's to allow the horse to push into the bit and go, let's go. Right? And that's why when you need to teach them to stretch, so that when you give them a little contact, they take it. Because they're, yes, of course we're developing the top line and doing all of those good things at the same time, what we're actually teaching them is take my hand. Take my hand. Hopefully that answered some of that question. Because like contact has a tendency to be very kind of confusing, I think, for riders, especially riders coming from like hunter world or something like that, or even Western world, because you can have connection with, in sort of a weird anatomical way. You can have connection without reins. You can. Like there's a lot of really good reiners or hunters that go beautifully with the rider's seat that don't have contact. That's very possible. In dressage world, we do require contact. That's just the way it is. So they learn rein back, and then they learn half halt. So from what we've talked about with rein back, do we understand how the half halt would function? That makes a lot more sense, right? Because all you're doing is you're saying, think about your hind leg, we're maybe going to back up, and they go, okay, well I better do this, and we're going to back up. And then you go, oh, good job.
Do you always train it with somebody on the ground?
In the beginning, yes. Yeah, if at all possible, yeah. I'll grab anybody in the barn. Right? Like another rider, boarders. I've had a farrier help me once. I was like, hey, you got like 5 minutes. So just anybody, because it makes the horse a little more grounded. It makes them feel a little less
then I think,
concerned.
I'm just thinking in the past, trying to train that alone, that's a lot of contact in the mouth because that's
of course, it's the only way. It's the only option you have. Yeah. Right. So it's it's not the end of the world. They'll learn it either way. Again, that's pretty clever, but it is more ideal if you don't have to. Voice training works amazing. Horses are super voice trainable. So if you are by yourself, you can teach a back command and then try from there.
I didn't even think to do that. Everything else is verbal. I always
You didn't think to do it, right?
I didn't think to do
And
that.
what will happen?
I talked, but I didn't have
I did
like
too.
a kiss or a
Right.
like that.
So what will happen when you're first teaching rein back, when you are first teaching longitudinal softness, and when you're teaching half halts, is they will say, okay, I get you, I hear you, I'm going to try that. And you'll say, okay, let's go back, and they'll go. Because they're veering away from the weak side. That's always what it is. That's okay. It's alright. If you backed up when I lightened my seat and I slid my legs back, amazing. Best horse in the whole world. Right? I don't care. Because they cannot do more than one thing at a time when that's
If
usually
that
what
happens,
happens.
you just keep the same pressure on until they take one step and then release it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And if they kind of back in like a little half-moon circle,
Take it.
I don't care. I don't care. It's just weakness or stiffness, and that will come along.
But they got the general idea.
Exactly. We didn't get resistance. What will happen sometimes? So I truly believe, and I've been more and more concreted in this idea. The older I get and the more horses I train, rein back is everything.
Okay.
Because what will happen is you'll have this beautiful horse that goes forward, right? Beautiful, lovely, soft, whatever, halt. And I've had this happen with appliance horses. I stop and I say go back, and they go turn into mules, right? And they literally turn into mules. They learn knee back in the shoulder. The ears kind of get a little bit tight, and they just do not go anywhere. That tells me that in the mind, they're not soft enough, right? They're not fully giving to the rider in the right way, so we have to train that. After those two things,
Trusting too.
it's very trusting. That's exactly right.
You know, I see here, but I don't know where.
That's exactly right. And not only are they trusting, right, from a visual perspective, but also a balance perspective. Even a Grand Prix horse that has a really good sure hind leg, if they can't see what's behind them, they have to trust that when they step back, you're not putting them in a hole, right, or off a cliff.
Yeah.
And they're not logical in that way, right? They don't really think about it like, well, I'm in the arena, so I'm safe. They don't think about that. So it is a lot. It's a huge amount of trust, which is why we train it on the ground with babies, babies, because they have to trust it. When I say something is okay, something is okay.
Routine.
Yeah, is that right? So I'm not gonna back you off a cliff. I promise, right? So, and then it then comes forward. So, what do we think about forward? What do we know about forward? The concept of forward.
I just think drive. I think
Yeah,
drive
okay.
forward.
Yeah. Comes from the back. Yeah, good. Any other thoughts?
Like in the hunters, it's more like in versus forward. It's like they're kind of just like more alert. And
Okay,
more
interesting.
Just like
So it's like an emotional roar.
yeah, just like they have to be more focused to go forward. I feel
Okay.
like. It kind of comes from the force.
I actually like that. Yeah. So that's a little bit closer to how I think about it. Forward, American trainers, you'll hear this a lot, and this is one of my pet peeves. American trainers equate forward with speed. Like 100%. Like there are very few trainers, other than the few that I know and respect, that don't think that, or don't at least say it that way, right? They
Jumpers, it seems like.
Yes, right, exactly. Right, so if you've been riding with other trainers or whatever, when they say more forward, what do you assume they mean?
Faster.
Faster,
Yeah.
go faster, right? Forward is a product of relaxation in the horse, right? So all the body parts start to work together, the low back relaxes, now the hip swings through, and now they start to take bigger strides that are not running strides.
Some more confidence and willingness.
Yeah, and like you said, it's in the mind, right?
Yeah.
They're comfortable carrying the rider. And going back to that whole like bridge feeling, once we get neutrality and we start to bring up the shoulder because the hind leg comes down, now they can pick the shoulder up and they put the rider a little bit more in the middle of the back. And now when they go forward, they're taking you with them rather than dumping you out in front or dumping you out behind. Make sense? So it should feel like more how they go up like a hill on a trail. You know, you kind of lean a little forward and they kind of pick you up and say, let's go. That's more what forward should feel like rather than just speed. Because, you know, reiners that are in spin, going nowhere, are forward. Right? Same thing with Western pleasure horses that are trained properly with good trainers. They're going nowhere and they're forward because they're in the body, they're relaxed in the body. So for me, forward is more of a test of like, how is the training happening? How are they functioning? Are they understanding the training? It's a product. It's not a outcome. Questions on that? Okay. So when we start to bring these things together, let's talk a little bit about that. And you guys have been so patient and amazing questions. Super happy. So when we start to look at the lateral longitudinal, we have that. So let's say we've got a 6-year-old that they can do shoulder in, they can do half pass, they can do all this stuff. Okay. What combination of things here make half pass? Let's say. Everybody know what half pass is? Okay.
I'm assuming it's just like
Yeah, so
stepping back.
full pass is straight sideways.
Right.
Half pass is
kind
a little bit forward. Yeah, bending in the direction they're going.
Okay.
So what combination of skills of this list make half pass? Lateral softness. Longitudinal softness, right? Because they have to come up and around. Yep.
They have to be somewhat forward.
They have to be somewhat forward. Yep, exactly. And we do have a slight little bit of rein back idea in that, so it's more of a half halt idea. Because what we're saying is don't stop, go this way. Yep. So once you start to understand that literally all the Grand Prix skills are these things,
Yeah, the basics.
it's so much easier. It's so much easier. And it's so much easier for the horse too. Because you're not ever asking them something new.
Yeah.
right? You're never saying to them, learn a new skill. Once they learn all 4 or 5 of these skills, it's the same thing their whole career.
Mhm.
It's just harder. It's just a harder version of whatever it is they already know. So when we ask for Piaf, for instance, in this session, how would we ask for Piaf? With you guys not knowing how to ride Piaf, but just you're smart people, all of
I
you.
mean, I think I see the half halt is that's pretty much all I did.
Okay,
I
okay.
had somebody
So
on the
half
ground
out
there,
first, yeah, because you got to kind of
Yeah.
get them together, right? So what would be the
Then
next?
forward and rein back together, because you're saying go forward, but don't go forward.
Yeah, same idea. Yeah, that's right. So lateral softness comes together in Piaf in a way that most riders are never taught or don't understand. So when they're trotting along, right, and we bring them back into half halt and then eventually thinking rein back, what you're actually doing is you are saying drop your hip under left, drop your hip under right,
Okay.
right? They have to.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to be
Okay.
laterally soft, because if they're not laterally soft, you get that awful Piaf where they're kind of tipped this way and they're just kind of like stepping up behind, right?
Okay.
They're not stepping underneath. And when I'm teaching Piaf, they always do it from the rein back,
Okay.
right? So we trot in, halt, or not even rein back, and then as they're reining back, I say, right, and then I stop, and then back, and then I stop. So that they're starting to understand you can trot like one step in place, and then it'll
Accomplished, mission accomplished.
so they're always learning it from the rein back because it's the hind legs.
Yeah.
It's really the
To
hind
engage
legs.
them.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Flying changes. Are they longitudinal or lateral?
First off, I think longitudinal because you're switching directions.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's-
So they would be. So the canter is naturally a lateral movement
Yeah.
because it's more on one side. They are a flying change is just a half halt with a lateral change. That's it. Don't make it more complicated than that. Don't make it more complicated than that for your horse, too. Right?
I'm just
So-
thinking for Bella, all this stuff, because like we never got to the flying. I could get her to go from a halt to a canter.
That's
and
good.
Either one that I could do,
That's
but
really
never from. We still had to take that second.
Take that little piece
Yes.
out and then yeah.
Yes, again. We never
Yeah.
got to that.
And that's how we train flying changes.
Okay.
Flying changes are, for most horses, are relatively easy to learn because they do them in the field.
Okay.
They may not be clean
Yeah,
behind
right.
at first, but they at least can understand that they can swap.
So you start with a simple change.
Simple change.
And then teach them.
Yeah, exactly. And my criteria before I start flying changes, so I actually start all the lateral work all the way through and Piaf before they learn flying changes.
See, in my mind, Piaf is like this
Right.
thing that's like
Right.
Grand Prix.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't even
Yeah.
think about it. Like don't
Right.
worry about it.
Right, it's down the road, right.
Isn't that funny?
And it may not be Grand Prix quality,
Right, but the
right?
movement
But they
is
understand
there.
half steps. They understand how to sit back, use the hind legs, and kind of stay underneath me.
Okay.
The reason for that is because the reason I wait to teach flying changes is because I want the criteria of can they walk
Yeah.
to canter, can they halt to canter.
Yeah.
Halt to canter is like a really nice extra little cake frosting.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need that, but if they're a
Yeah.
little bit of a transition expert, we can do that.
Okay.
But really walk to canter to walk to canter is critical. They have to be able to do that. Once they can do that, it goes canter in, walk, rein back, walk, canter. Right? And then we start to eliminate. This is where it gets like a little tricky, but they pick it up pretty quick as long as we do it in a way that is comfortable for them. Canter, halt, rein back, canter. So now they're thinking back when I ask for that transition, so that now next time I come around, canter, they think rein back, and I just switch my leg.
And then you just go. So you take out the second, the middle step, and
Yep.
then just do it.
Because all you're trying to get them to do is sit
I
back,
wish I met you 15
so they
years
can switch.
ago.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
So it's, again, if you're ever lost, just look at what's missing,
Okay.
right? So give me an example of something that you may or may not have been struggling with now, horses previously, whatever. Give me something that you've just been like, either I could never get this, or I currently am not getting this.
My horse will do a flying leg change in the front and not in the back.
Not in the back. Okay,
But if I canter her over a pole on the ground,
she'll get it. Yeah, which is a great exercise. I teach a lot of baby horses that way. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if, whenever they offer something that they're not ready for, they're the best horse in the whole world, right? If I have a 3-year-old that starts throwing in flying changes, great, we'll do it over the pole, right? So that's, look at you, you're amazing, right? So I'm fine with that. But, so probably what's missing is we're either missing our strong enough half halt, right? That she's fully understanding what that means. She's probably not waiting, right? She's probably saying, yeah, mom, got it, right? So she's either not waiting, or it is very possible that she's still not laterally soft enough in the hip. So you'll see this a lot with the way reiners change. So with dressage horses, we put them in shoulder 4 and then we change from there. With reiners, they go punches in. And what they do is they hold that shoulder out, hold the shoulder out, hold the shoulder out, and then they go, oh, change.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not the way we do it. But it's the same idea. It's just a little different way of going about it. So my thought would be with her, especially because of guessing from her confirmation of what you said, she's probably not quite as loose in the hips as I would like laterally. So I would maybe go with, like, is she capable of doing Rombert Traver, shoulder in, shoulder out in the can? Can she do that? If we can't do that, we probably, okay, yeah, if we don't have that yet, which is okay, that's probably where I would start, so that you as a rider can start to kind of get control over the hip a little bit, her hip, and say, okay, if I move my hip this way, ma'am, you move your hip this way. And that will probably help get that change a little clearer, because it's probably that she's either not cognitively connecting her hind leg, right, when you ask, or she's not, or she, right, also possible, right, that's okay.
That's how it probably.
Or she's just not, it's either a physical limitation, currently, not long-term, a emotional cognitive understanding, or both. That's usually, anytime you have a roadblock with a horse, that's what it is. It's either they don't understand, they don't know how, or they can't. Those, I have had like maybe one my whole career that said no because he thought it was funny, right? All of the other ones said no because they couldn't, or they didn't know how, or they didn't understand, or I was missing something. They're incredible animals that allow us to do this thing with them, and so it doesn't make like psychological sense for them to just one day wake up and be like, nah, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I would guess that she's not quite laterally soft enough. We would double check that we have enough half halt rein back, and then we would check your timing as a rider, make sure that our timing isn't off.
Here's something that jumped out at me when we could never, and she would, I guess, leg yield, like beautifully, but facing the opposite direction. When I tried to do half pass and bend towards the direction, her hip would come in and we would lose. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't.
So if you were looking for half pass, she would get straight in the hip.
Yeah,
so she'd bend here.
I couldn't get her to bend towards the thing without that hip coming out, and then just going into a circle. Like she just wouldn't. She couldn't ever.
She couldn't hold the shoulder out and then
keep going that direction. She could leg yield the opposite. I could bend her head this way and go to the right all day. Yeah. But if I tried to bend her head that way, it ended up just going into a small circle.
So So super common. Super common. What that is, so that's why again why I teach babies lateral work first, always first. They learn everything. Like my Kai, she will learn Rombert Traver, shoulder in, leg yield, and half pass before we try. Because otherwise her body's not mobile enough and she doesn't have enough understanding to carry me around in the way that I want. She's already broke walk, trot, canter, right? So she does understand that she will eventually have to carry me around, which I can't. But once they come off the line and they're ready to kind of be a little more independent, we go back to walk and we start again. Okay. So with yours, probably what was happening is that full pass, so straight sideways with the bend.
She could do that.
Could she bend in the direction she was going straight sideways, or was it straight like?
I'd already cleaned it up. I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to think how I would have. She probably would bend because I would use that. Like open the door with my hand.
And the little outside driving leg.
She could side pass over like a pole or something. Okay. It stays really straight. But when I was trying to get her, and I guess we kind of did it at a walk, but most of the time I think of just trimming. I think that's what we always do.
Right. So you probably skipped a step. Yeah, you skipped a step.
I never thought of that.
That's okay.
Oh my goodness.
So what we do is we start just full pass, just go straight sideways.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do with your face. I don't care.
Okay.
Just go. I
Yeah,
want the
just
body.
move.
Just go
Yeah.
straight sideways.
Okay.
And once we can align the spine and they're going both directions, and I can stop them, right?
Yeah.
So say I want full pass right. So we're asking full pass right. They make nice big steps. As soon as I close this door, I want them to stop and go that way.
Okay.
Right? I need to be able to
Yeah.
do that. Because this comes into zigzag work, right?
Yeah.
Canter, half pass, zigzags.
Okay.
They have to be able to, as soon as they feel that closing door on the outside, they have to think either change or
Change.
forward.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise they kind of scramble along and they're like, oh, hang on, right? Let me get together, and then right, it's not fast enough.
Okay.
So that's why we teach it very, very early on. So once they can do that, then we say, okay, good job. Can you sit here? Can I flex you to the left? And if I go like this, right, inside hip back or outside leg and hip back, I want that horse to mirror my hips.
Yeah, and move. Okay.
Right? That's it. They don't have to take a step at all. All I want is that they do that.
Okay.
And then the same thing, other way, right? But they do that. And because of what I'm doing is I'm connecting their nose to their hip,
Okay.
right? So then, once we can do that 4 or 5 rides in a row, at the end, I always do this at the end because it's like a good boy, good girl,
Yeah.
End of exercise. And they get really proud of themselves and they usually do a little blowing and all that.
Yeah.
So they're like, that was so hard,
Yeah.
So then once they are able to do that really easily, right, I can kind of move them around in the halt.
Yeah.
Then all I do is I add a little bit of driving outside leg. So
Okay.
same position, just a little more, maybe a little more pressure and a little cluck.
Okay.
And then if they take one step over, even if
Okay.
it's kind of a falling step, but they maintain that softness,
Bend, then you let it. Okay.
amazing.
All right.
And then all of a sudden, once we have a couple of steps both directions, I
Yeah.
start to close the door again, hip focus on
Okay.
space. Then all you're doing is you're just letting them go full,
Okay.
right? And then it turns into half pass.
I feel like I just made her life such a.
No. I mean, for the most part, it's horses are happy to just do more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm sure she had a
And
wonderful
I
life.
give her a cookie every time.
Yes, yes,
I did a good job.
that's all she wanted anyway. Right. So I hope this helps you guys understand that really dressage is not some mystical thing. And if you ever work with somebody that makes you more confused,
Yeah.
please find someone else. And it's nothing against any other trainer, it's nothing against anybody else, but it shouldn't be complicated.
Yeah.
It should be complicated for you, and it should not be complicated for your horse.
Yeah.
Right? They should come out every day remembering the lesson in a positive way, and they should build on that lesson every day.
Okay.
It doesn't mean they're not going to have bad days. Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they should always be making progress. We can make a Grand Prix horse in 4 years.
Wow. Okay.
Really, really talented, 3.5. Right? From baby. It is very possible. But it's done with a process.
Yeah.
Not randomly, well, I want half pass today or I
Yeah.
want changes today. It's, I'm going to follow this plan and I'm going to build on it.
Yeah. Since I feel like I was just random,
Sure.
I would go
Yeah.
learn something somewhere and be like, I'm gonna try to
Let's do this. Right.
It's so random.
Right.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, so it is possible, and the big thing is that we're not all trying to make Grand Prix horses.
Yeah.
That's okay. But you can add lateral softness into your jumper lines, and now all of a sudden when you got a bending line coming up, your horse isn't bending like this, they're bending like this.
Right.
Right? And that's gonna make it so much easier for you. And I would assume that when you when you jump fences and you want to land on the opposite lead,
Right.
you're throwing your weight, right?
Correct.
You're leaning over
throwing
one
right,
shoulder.
having that, before you jump, you're having that, you're starting to pull with your
Right,
weight,
we're
you're
going
starting to-
here.
Right, putting
Yeah.
your leg on more.
Yeah, same idea. So if you're able to create more lateral softness with a little bit of a rein back idea, you can really set them back in that line and pick up that shoulder, and now it looks prettier when you show it.
That makes sense, because it's but also, I don't win my own horse, so I don't lace that clear view, so because
Yeah.
just get a random horse, so we try to train.
Right, you have no time to.
Right,
Yeah.
it's you get a horse and you understand okay, this is how I'm asking this, I understand this horse, and then the next week you're on a completely
And who knows who
different
trained it, and-
horse.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's sometimes it's hard to because you feel okay, this is how this is, but then on another horse it's completely different.
Right.
So it's so
Right, that is
confusing
very
sometimes.
frustrating,
Yeah, it is frustrating sometimes. So.
How much time do you get in the warm up before you have to show? Do you get pre-rides or anything, or no? Is it literally
Okay, so I actually have not done an IEA show yet. My first one's October 4th and 5th.
Okay.
Every time I've showed, it's just been a regular horse show where you just choose as many classes as you
Yeah,
want.
yeah, got it.
With IEA, you get 2 times. So one is
Okay.
a show, but you're not judged. A class, but you're not judged.
Okay.
The other one is a class where you are judged, and that's it. So it's like a whole
Okay,
day
so you get like a
of
warm-up
just
ride.
class. But yes, you do get like a actual class, just you're not judged in it.
Okay.
So yes, we get like warm up time.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
definitely gonna be harder.
So, I mean, you know, obviously, whatever your coaches say, you know, that makes sense for them because they know the hunter world much better than I do. But my suggestion would be, if you get on a new one, make sure that you can pick it up on the inside and it yields, right? It yields that inside hip and then it rebounds.
Okay.
If you can get that horse thinking about you in that way, you're already gonna have a majority of the stuff.
Okay. That makes sense.
So those are kind of like the quick things. Those are also my safety notes, because I don't ride anything stupid, right? Like I don't sell anything stupid. I don't like. I'm not interested in that. I've been doing this too long for all that. But when I first get on one that I don't know, the first thing I do is, can you bend and yield and do your ring back? Because those are my breaks, right? And it's getting them thinking about you rather than what's going on, right?
And if they can't, that's what you focus on.
Exactly. That's our lesson for the
That's
day.
our lesson. Okay.
Yeah, because that for me is like,
Yeah.
that's like
Safety,
you
yeah.
get in a car and it
Right.
doesn't have brakes or it doesn't shift gears,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
You're not going to drive that car because it's not safe.
Okay.
Make sense? Cool. Questions? Okay, awesome. I could talk about this for hours. So.
I know.
I will. So I'm happy to stay as long as you all want, but I appreciate your attention and your patience and your questions. Anything else I can help you all with while I'm here or in the future? Please let me know. Connect with me on Facebook. I'm happy to give you my number.
Yeah, if I can get your number, I'm not
Yeah.
on Facebook. I'm one of those weird people that never
No,
had.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I didn't know if you had contact information.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.